Yeah. Alrighty, we'll call the meeting to order. And we'll go through, doing the Zoom meeting means that when you want to speak, you have to unmute I'll ask that you mute your microphones until you're speaking. And when you speak, we'll ask you to unmute. And you need to give me a minute so I can see everybody. If you're going to speak, to raise your hand and so that we can call on you, and that all votes will be roll call votes. So that's what we're doing with the Zoom guidelines. And we are going to look at, unless something changes drastically, we'll continue to have the Zoom meetings through the end of the year. That's what is allowed by the state legislature. And I think that's, what is that? 1, 2, 3 meetings and this one. So yeah, 3 more meetings we'll do by Zoom. Alrighty. So I'll ask if people, if you can, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Tracy, could you please take roll call vote?
Trustee Vert.
Present.
Trustee Fafdahl.
Present.
Treasurer Anderson.
Present.
I see her. Clerk Funk is absent. Trustee Klee.
Present.
Trustee Castle.
Present.
And Supervisor Miller.
Present. Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions to this evening's agenda? I didn't think so. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the last board meeting, October 5th, 2020? Tracy, I just wanted to bring a couple things it was brought to my attention. On the minutes, I don't know, I just didn't pay attention to the ones previous, but I think we have a notice that notifies people that we're doing electronic meetings. I think the minutes should reflect that. And I think because we've gotten used to it and it's just seems normal to us, it should be reflected in the minutes, whether it's this one or previous, that, and I'll talk with Clerk Funk, that somewhere in the minutes they should be talk about Zoom, an electronic meeting. And then it was also brought to my attention when we look at roll call of board members, we have maybe the word "and staff" could be there, because there's, for the roll call, there's board members and staff. So maybe if we just added the word "staff" to anybody who's not familiar with our board, I think that would be helpful. But that's the only thing I had with the minutes. Does anyone else have any corrections?
Are you on mute?
No? So normally I ask if everyone's in favor of approving those, but Madam, I'm sorry, Mrs. Tucker, would you please take a roll call vote on approving the minutes?
Trustee Vert.
Yes.
Trustee Fafdahl.
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson.
Yes.
Supervisor Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Klee.
Yes.
Trustee Castle.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comment. If you'd like to address the board, I'd ask that you'd wave your hand, and you'll have 4 minutes to address the board. I'm not seeing any hand waving. No one wants to address the board? Okay, we'll move on to reports. I wanted to let everyone know that yesterday morning, just before noon, Madam Clerk's mother passed away. And so that's the reason why she's not here with us. So if you would remember in your thoughts and prayers, it's really hard to lose your mom. And our clerk, Kathy Funk, is going through that right now. And I've asked Mrs. Tucker if she finds out any information, or if I find out any information, we'll pass it along to the rest of the board. I don't have anything else to report in my report. And Madam Clerk is not here. Madam Treasurer, do you have a report for us this evening?
No.
We will move on to trustee reports. Are there any trustee reports? No. Miss Trustee Castle, you have a report for us?
I don't have a report. I just want to express my condolences to Kathy and the loss of her mother. I also want to inform the board and the public that I believe this is my last meeting.
No.
This meeting?
There's one more, November 16th.
November 16th is a meeting. There's a scheduled meeting November 16th,
Yes.
and I am still on the board as of November 16th.
Yes. We don't have one scheduled for the first Monday in November due to the election, which is going to be busy. But our this current board's last board meeting would be scheduled for November 16th.
Okay, then I will keep my remarks until then.
All righty.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Castle. If there's no other trustee reports, we'll move on to staff reports. Chief Salter.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'll start with the police department first. Since October 5th, we responded to over 1,000 calls, which is about an 85 a day average. There was a non-fatal shooting that happened at Home Depot last week. The suspect and the victim actually lived together, and the suspect was later arrested and charged by the Genesee County prosecutor. The next day, there's a homicide. The victim was shot in the chest after he allegedly pointed a gun at another individual. The suspect has been cooperating with the ongoing investigation, and once that's complete, we will submit it to the Genesee County Prosecutor's Office. Officer Cheese and Sergeant Nemechek are starting the Lock It or Lose It campaign. It goes into the fact where majority of the cars that are broken into in our township are from cars that are unlocked. This is a crime prevention learning opportunity, and we are trying to spread the word about prevention measures through social media and public appearances, and encourage everyone to lock it or lose it, especially with the holidays coming. A lot of people leave their cars unlocked, and a lot of stuff is stolen that way. This program is paid for with the Community Development Block Grant, and the food is being sponsored by the Randy Weiss Auto Mall. So I want to say thank you to them. Yeah. The first event is being held this Saturday at the Church of Flint in Dayton Heights at 11 a.m. Apostolic Church of Flint. Then at the Carmen Ainsworth Senior Center at 2 p.m. on Saturday. And then Sunday, we'll be at South Valley Estates at 11 a.m. in the GISD Early Learning Center, which is a Carmen Park school, at 1 p.m. Each event will include free hot dog lunch and promotional stuff. And that concludes the police department report. Next, I'll go into the fire department. Since our last board meeting, your fire department's responded to 31 alarm calls, with one of them being a structure fire. The unattached garage on Highfield was caught on fire. Work is continuing on the new fire engine. It should be completed by the end of this year or early next year. Then we're continuing fall hydrant maintenance, again with over 13 to 1,500 hydrants. There's a lot of work that they put into it, but it should be completed by the end of this month, early next month. We conducted entry-level interviews last week, and it looks like we have a few good candidates to choose from, which is good news. And the assistant chief's test was last week, and the interviews will be scheduled for next week. And that concludes my fire department report and police department report, and I have 0 items for the agenda.
All righty. We'll say hi to Assistant Chief Beckley.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening. What was I going to say? We'll move on to Mrs. Tucker. Do you have a report for us this evening?
No, I have several items on the agenda, so I'll save my time for that.
All righty. So are there any committee reports? We'll call on John Whiteside. He's Secretary of our Road Advisory.
Good evening. I just wanted to give an update on the road projects. I actually went out and drove all the projects that we got going. Dye Road from Miller to 69 has been paved. It looks like they got temporary lines there. And Dye Road from Maple to 69 has been paved. Jared Street from Van Slyke back to Kentwood and Jarrett Court. And then the very end of Westminster. And then all of Kingswood has been paved, including the cul-de-sacs on Kingswood. I did go over to Linden Creek Parkway, and they have barricades up there, and there's a lot of construction going on that. And I don't remember exactly what day they started that, but I just wanted to check out, see what was going on with the projects. We haven't had a road advisory committee meeting for quite some time with COVID and everything going on. It wasn't necessary to have one. So that's all I got to report on tonight.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. So we'll move on to the payment of bills. Madam Treasurer.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we pay bills in the amount of $1,311.44 and acknowledge payment of invoices and disbursements in the amount of $7,372,036.56 for a total of $7,373,348.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Are there any questions for Madam Treasurer? Any discussion on paying the bills? No? Mrs. Tucker, will you take a roll call vote on paying the bills? What Mrs. Treasurer said.
Trustee Fapdal,
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Klee,
Yes.
Trustee Castle,
Yes.
Trustee Burt,
Yes.
motion's unanimous.
Thank you. I didn't see any correspondence or informational items. Did I miss anything? Did anyone see those at the back of the packet? No? Well, that's where they are. If there is any. We'll move on to new business, action item A, and you can introduce it, Mrs. Tucker.
Sorry about that. So this is the budget for the DDA. How it basically works is they come up with a draft budget, they vote on it, and then they send it to the township board for approval. And then it goes back to the DDA for adoption. The numbers that are in here are based on, for the administrative expenses are the numbers we got from accounting. And then the project list is basically what the DDA has decided they want to spend dollars on next year. And so you have the total amount there, which would be total expenditures on projects, $135,870. The operating costs are $99,515. The loan repayment to the township as a payment of $9,600, and for a total expenses of $244,986. Projected revenues next year are $287,523, and we still have $71,402 that's unencumbered in the bank account. And so projected end of the year, we would have revenues over our expenses of $42,537, which would increase our savings to $113,939. Now, just remember too that this does not show the expenses for the road projects because they won't hit until next year. So those first payments would be on our following year's budget. So unless there are changes to the administrative side, we're asking for you to approve as presented. And if there's a change that you need to make, then we would send it back to them.
So a motion is in order to move forward, and it's approving or adopting. We're approving the 2021 Flint Township DDA budget.
Right, you're approving at this point. It doesn't get adopted until it goes back to them. And they can still, if there's something that they need to lower at that time, they can. They just can't raise anything above once it goes back to them after your approval.
Is there a motion? Somebody?
Clee would move, sorry, I couldn't get unmuted. Excuse me. Clee would move that we accept the Flint Township DDA budget resolution as presented by Ms. Tucker.
Is there a second to the motion?
Castle seconds.
Are there any questions or discussion? Mrs. Trustee Vert?
Yes, I have two questions. Does this include a pay raise? Is that correct?
It includes what the accounting sent us, which had a 2% raise.
Okay,
And I believe they sent that out to everybody.
okay.
As you know.
And on that page there too, it says accounting department allocation 5,000. What is that?
That's us paying for services of the accounting department
Okay.
from the DDA.
Okay, I'm just gonna say I can't approve this as there's a raise included in this, seeing what our budget looks like for next year, so I won't be voting yes. That's all, thanks.
Are there any other questions or discussion on the DDA budget?
So I do have a question, because I know we haven't finalized the township budget. I know there's been conversations about the increase, and I thought we, at this point, pulled them off due to our state of affairs with our finances. So if in fact that goes, that we would remove the 2% across the board, this would be removed as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can remove it. Oh,
well,
sorry.
I would say, because we haven't negotiated, although when we look at the
Right.
numbers, we see that there's not anything available, but I will tell you that in preliminary scheduling, we're hearing stuff about, there are some unions who are willing to roll over with their contract for a year, as long as they want a Me Too clause, which says, we'll do this, and we trust you that you're not giving anybody else a raise. If
Right.
they get a raise, we want a raise. So I would say that that 2% would be contingent on everyone else getting the 2%. So, and if no one gets it, it would be hard to justify just 2 employees getting it. So can we say that contingent on all employees getting the 2%?
Are you asking me?
I'm
Or are you
looking at
asking Tom?
I'm
Yeah.
looking at faces.
No.
If I may, I know I made the motion and I'm listening, and obviously, and I've been reading a lot of the information you've been sending me, Karen, on the negotiation as well. And I guess I would have to agree that rather than to say a Me Too clause, I think it'd be in our best interest to say to exempt this, remove it from this, and I would be in agreement to continue further. I would adjust my motion that if we took the 2% out, I would, because of the financial situation, I guess that would have been a better situation to apply it to. But looking back here, yeah, I would be in agreement to revise my motion if that would be okay.
So here's what I'd like to say about that. We haven't formally negotiated with any of the unions. So here on October 19th, I know what our budget looks like, and I know what I think is the right thing to do, but we haven't sat down with the union, so I can't say definitively one way or another. So if it ends up, we end up giving them one, Tracy's saying that if whatever goes back to the DDA, they can't increase it. So I would think we would say, because when we've given raises, they've all gotten raises. I would do a contingency. Anybody?
Okay, am I on mute? Okay.
No, you're
Um,
speaking.
Okay, there's a couple of things. One is it's my opinion, but I always have a trouble with the Me Too. I don't like it. I'll just say that. But also, if we're going to be doing some of this other stuff, I think there should be a hold on all conferences and workshops, etc., unless it's mandatory across the board. Those are also expenditures that we don't need at this time. It's been done before. I mean, we've got to stop the bleed.
So we have passed that type of a motion in the past at our township board, but Tracy would be talking with her DDA as far as
Right.
anything necessary for conferences and workshops. But just because it's budgeted doesn't mean that it has to be spent, and we can take a look at passing that again for 2021, putting a hold on any unnecessary conferences or workshops, because there are some who will need it for their certifications.
Right.
Okay. So we do have a motion and we have a second. Do we want to amend that motion?
I would like to amend that motion to, if that would be all right, and if my second would be in agreement to hold off on the 2%. But I guess with the question, Tracy, you're saying to me, and this is the part I forgot, I apologize. If we do not put it in now, and if by whatever situation, 1%, 0%, 0.5%, we cannot go back to the DDAs because of the way their guideline is written, that we can't adjust it in 2021. Is that correct? If it's not in it now, it's not going to happen. I'm trying to read through this right now again.
Well, it's simpler to do the contingency that we would only receive the raise if other departments received the raise than not, because the process with the DDAs and the CIAs is that they have to do a draft, then it has to go to the township, then it has to come back to them. So it would take, I mean, it's just cumbersome. That's all. Where if you do the contingency, we would only get it if everybody else got it.
Is that good for you, Tom?
Can you make that?
That what?
I missed what you said, Lisa.
I was asking Tom,
She was asking-
can you make that motion?
Yeah, she was asking me if I can make that motion. All right, let me look here, whatever.
So we can move on.
So we can move on. Yes, I would make a motion that we accept the budget as presented with a contingency of the
2% raise.
The raise based on additional or the other negotiations.
Yep.
Yeah, if others get it, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so I've got that written into my notes, so I'm good with that. I'm okay with that.
Carol, did you second it?
I can.
Frank.
I think
Frank
Frank did.
Frank,
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'll accept the change.
Thank
Alrighty.
you, Frank.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the 2021 Flint Township DDA budget with a contingency on a raise if other employees get that raise. Mrs. Tucker, will you take the roll call vote?
Treasurer Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Klee,
Yes.
Trustee Castle,
Yes,
Trustee Vert,
No.
Trustee Fapdal.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-1.
Action item B, thank you, is the 2021 budget for Beecher Road CIA.
And this is going to be the same thing. So this would have to add the contingency as well. Even though basically what they do is just reimburse the DDA, but it's still part of their budget. Their projects, obviously they don't take in as much, but you still have community events, holiday decorations and signage. They're actually looking at doing some permanent signage, possibly with poles and solar lights to create a walkway type look. So they had increased that budget for that. They want to change what they were doing. They weren't happy with the banner look, so they're trying to do something more permanent. So basically that was their big thing. They want to look at more at blight control, which is a good thing. So their total in projects was $23,041. And they also have the loan repayment to the township, the operating cost, total of expenses of $38,685. Their capture next year should be $42,858. They have a cash reserve of $46,119. The budgeting is budgeted for $4,000 less than their revenue, and they're looking at increasing their cash balance to $50,292. Also, I should mention that with the DDA and the CIAs, all of them will be under their budgets this year due to the COVID issues and changes in how they're doing their projects this year due to COVID. So they may have, their cash balances may be higher at the end of this year than predicted right now. But that's where they're at for next year, for 2021. So I guess we would like to see a motion that would follow along the same lines as the DDA, with a contingency that the 2% wage increase for the 2 employees would go into effect if the other departments receive the raise as well.
Would someone like to make that motion?
Anderson makes a motion to accept the Beecher Road CIA budget for 2021 with the contingency of the 2% based on what the other departments would receive.
Is there a second to the motion?
Or
Any other questions or further discussion?
I have a question just for clarification. If the salary is listed under the entire DDA and her salary, Tracy, I'm just asking, your percentage comes out of the entire DDA, wouldn't, whether the Bristol Road and the Beecher Road CIAs, it would all fall under the DDA, does it not? I mean, it's not. Because they're paying for it ultimately, right?
Right, just for ease of for accounting, they pay it all out of the DDA, and then the Beecher Road CIA and the Bristol Road CIA reimburse the DDA. So it's still part of their budgets.
Okay.
You know, it's not, they're not naming what the salary increase is, but I needed to know if there was an increase or not so that we could have the numbers in there.
Okay.
Whether there's an increase or not comes strictly from the township, because we are employees of the township.
Right. Okay.
So
All
we
right.
have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, Mrs. Tucker, will you please take the roll call vote on approving the 2021 Beecher Road CIA budget?
Trustee Klee,
Yes.
Trustee Castle,
Yes.
Trustee Vert,
No,
Trustee Fafdahl,
yes,
Treasurer Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Miller.
Yes, thank you. Action item C is the 2009 to 2029 master plan update. Did you want to give us an update, Tracy? An abbreviated update?
Yeah. So the master plan must be reviewed every 5 years. When we did the review, we also were in the process of the redevelopment ready certification. So the Township Planning Commission and the DDA are helping to pay for the update, and they also are taking into account the visioning that the DDA did with Genesee Valley Center. So these things are being incorporated into the new master plan. And then we will be following with a zoning ordinance update as well. At this point, the Planning Commission has passed the draft onto the Township Board to send it out for public review and comment, and to reaffirm the date that they have set for a public hearing to hear comment from the public of January 14th of 2021. We're required to have at least a 63-day comment period. And during that time, we will send out a letter to the neighboring jurisdictions to let them know that we are in the process of review in case they have anything that they would like to input.
So we don't need to take action on this except that your attention is requested for the review, because after the 63 days, we're going to be asked to approve this. Correct, Tracy?
Now, I do need a motion to start the review,
Oh,
to release it for review and to reaffirm the date for the public hearing. The resolution is in your packet that covers everything. And then it will come back to, you're right, we would like you all to review it, because it will come back to the Township Board for approval after the Planning Commission holds the public hearing.
so would somebody like to make the motion?
We would
I'll-
move. What? Go ahead. Carol, was that you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we release the master plan for review and then set up January the 14th of 2020 as a public hearing.
2021?
Yes, I'm sorry.
We would second that motion and support it.
If there's no further discussion or questions, okay. Madam Treasurer.
So how, are you gonna mail these? Or will it be posted on the website and you'll send a letter to say, go to the website if you want to review it?
Yes, we will have to have a printed copy available for the public in the clerk's office, and we'll also have one in the building department as well. So anybody who wants to come in and look at it. And then with the letter we will send out, we'll have a link to the website and also an offer for them to come in and get a copy if they need it.
Any
Okay.
other questions? Nope. Hearing none, Mrs. Tucker, would you please take the roll call vote on the motion to release the master plan for review and for the for it to come back to the board on January 14th, 2021?
Trustee Castle,
Yes.
Trustee Burt,
Yes.
Trustee Fapdahl,
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Miller,
Yes,
Trustee Klee.
Yes.
Motion's unanimous.
thank you. Action item D is to update the signature card for Community Development Block Grant Program.
Yes, this is just updating the card to replace or add the new deputy treasurer to the card. And so we need to get approval from the board to be able to add that name. So with
Is
that, I
that
make
your
a,
motion? Great.
yes.
Go ahead and say it.
I make a motion that we update the signature card for the CBDG program as outlined.
Is there a
Or-
second to the motion? Who said that?
Barb,
Trustee Vert. Any questions on the motion? Mrs. Tucker, roll call vote on the motion to update the signature card for Block Grant Fund Program, adding the Deputy Treasurer, Tanisha Amadou.
Trustee Burt,
Yes.
Trustee Fapdahl,
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Miller,
Yes,
Trustee Klee,
Yes.
Trustee Castle.
Yes.
Motion's unanimous.
alrighty, we're at announcements. The Controller's Department met with Deputy Supervisor Vert and myself today. We went through the budgets line department by department, and we're going to continue working with that to hopefully bring a draft of the budget to the next meeting and set the public hearing for the following meeting. So look for that. Don't forget, 2 weeks from tomorrow is the election. So vote early. You're able to vote early through an absentee ballot if you can't vote in person. And did anyone else have any other announcements? I think we're set there on that. And if there's no further business and without objection, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.